All right, well, we're waiting for Tip. How about your keys to the game, partner?
Well, I think for Washington, their freshman who we mentioned, Tamia Sadler, needs to get into the paint, either driving in and scoring and finishing, or driving and kicking to the open teammates, make the defense work. And then this team is really good at forcing turnovers. Last year, they might struggle when they didn't convert on their turnovers. They got to turn those into points. For Wazoo, they need depth. They have not been able to do a lot of the conditioning. This is their first game. They need players off the bench to play a big role. And then this is their first game. You better talk to one another, communicate against a very difficult and unique defense of Washington that puts different looks at you even within the same possession. They'll move from man to zone, and it can be very overwhelming mentally to try to figure out this Washington defense.
Underway here at Alaska Airlines Arena. Near turnover. Rimming out. Murakatete, we're going to go the other way. Sadler so quick to the cup. Basket didn't want it, and Washington State looks for a one and done. They'll try to push. Let's just keep an eye on these Washington defenses. They'll throw a lot of the junk at you.
Well, they got a good look, the penetration and kick to Murakatete. She just couldn't finish the lay-in on the first possession.
Plenty of time on the shot clock. Now we're down to 10 for Crystal Ledger-Walker. Picks up that dribble, finds her sister, back rim and out, and it's going to stay with Washington State.
That's two good looks for Washington State. They weren't able to cash in.
How about this quick sub as Reese will replace Quay Miller quickly for Washington.
Looks like the assistant coach Derek Wynn over on the sideline talking to Quay Miller. Probably something on the defensive end.
Reese still getting back to 100% after that injury late last year. Step through, Reese affecting that shot. Jump ball belonging to Washington. Should mention these clubs split last year. Nobody held home court advantage, each winning on the opponent's home floor.
Well, not only that, Washington State has come into Seattle 2 years in a row and beaten the Huskies on their home floor. Jody Wynn says her players are more than aware of that. The coaching staff is aware of that. And last year they felt like they'd won that game, but the Cougs had a massive comeback in the fourth quarter. Chanel Molina, Bobby Herstova, they put on a show in the final 10 minutes to get that victory. But certainly the Cougs feel good about this building.
Just an awesome assist by Haley Van Dyke. I mean, Sadler gets the bucket, okay, but that's all Van Dyke, Elise.
Yeah, she did a nice job looking for the open teammate. Sadler finding the open spot, cross court underneath.
Wide open. Again, it was that same back rim area that Ledger-Walker was short. Wild shot by Murakatete, and here comes Rooks.
Well, Washington's avoided a bullet. 2 open threes for Ledger-Walker have not been able to go down.
Good ball movement. Grigsby is going to find Rooks now from Reese. Reese flashing and scores.
And a nice cut from the 6'4" Reese into the game. She has been dealing with a foot fracture, missed the final games of last season and tried to rehab it. So she's just getting into the swing of things here from a conditioning standpoint.
Motuga thought she was going to be able to sweep that thing off the glass. Nothing doing so. Washington State, again, season opener for the Cougs. Falling behind quickly, 4-0. We're early in the first quarter. Sadler. Ball almost picked. Nicely done by Tudor. Rooks from 3. Didn't follow her shot. Gobbling that up is Washington State. Nice poke right back on the offensive board. And finally, Washington State gets on the board. Motuga.
Yeah, Murakatete down low is rushing. It's a big presence behind her with Darcy Reese, but she's had some good looks. Has not been able to finish. She's 0 for 3 in this one, but the rebound out to Motuga, and she is true from on top. That was a pretty shot.
Reese again getting deep in that paint. Blocked. Murakatete. And here comes Washington State. Inside look. There it is.
And there is no surprise after the big block on the defensive end for Murakatete. She runs the floor hard and has that extra confidence to knock the shot in.
Washington State with the lead, and great defense by Tudor. And I think Sadler thought she had a wide open edge to the lane.
Morakatete is big at 6'5", and she's athletic, able to get off the floor. And then look at her after the big block. Go find the block on the other end. That's where your money spot is. And she has the mismatch with the guard sealed. And that's how you do it. Easy stuff for the sophomore.
Lowry and Noble checking in. There's Noble. Freshman misses inside. Miller back on the floor for Washington. Callie Lind seeing her first action for the Huskies, so Washington showing its depth. Takes some punishment and one. Charlize Ledger-Walker with the aggressive drive.
She had a couple opportunities from deep, didn't knock those in, but that's how you get going. You go right to the rack. The weak side defense is there, but not rotating in time. And Nia Lowry sideways. That's a hoop and harm, and nice looking finish from the freshie.
Three-point play, you see the smooth stroke. 8-4 Washington State. They've got a nice little run going. Just under 6 minutes to go in this first quarter.
And remember, this is their first quarter of the season.
Unbelievable.
So they're going to have that extra adrenaline right now. And sometimes it kind of tires you out. It looked like in the first few moments they were trying to get their wind, and well, they certainly have found it now with a 4-point lead.
Lind with 10 on the shot clock. Here's Noble all the way to the rack. Misses the layup. Freshman hurried that a little bit. She claps her to herself in frustration. Washington State on the run.
Jada Noble is an outstanding athlete. Her sister, Gabby Williams, who plays for the Chicago Sky, the former star with the Yukon Huskies, and she's got a lot of that same kind of athleticism. She's just left a couple of lay-ins short here.
She'll get those down.
But she's been able to get there. She's not a big-time scorer, at least she has not been, but she has the ability to be. And Jody Wynn is like, I got to teach her, man, just go for it. Don't worry about missing. Don't worry about it. We need you to score. Well, it's good that she's been aggressive early.
Sherilyn Molina checking in for Washington State, much improved. You've heard the Molina as the walk is going to go against Washington State. The Molina sisters, seems like they've been in Pullman forever.
Well, they finally saw Chanel Molina leave, which I loved watching her play. The All Pac-12 guard a year ago, and as we mentioned earlier, playing in Sweden now, but her two younger sisters still on the squad.
Turnover, scooping up top. Charlize got hammered. Oh, man, another great finish by the freshman. Oh, baby.
And this is one that just shows her strength. She may only be a freshman, but getting right into the body of Rooks, going at her, and then Kayla Rooks looked as if she was trying to foul her hard enough that she didn't have a chance at the bucket. Well, that was exactly the opposite. She hit her hard and came swinging down just to make sure she didn't get the shot off, but she converts anyway.
Misses out on the three-point play, still 10-4. Washington State lead. 10 straight points by the Cougars. And they've got the lead as Grace Sarver on the floor now for Washington State. It's been a while since UW has scored. Quay Miller. Nothing there. Molina wants to push. Wow. I'm just going to keep saying Charlize's name until she makes me stop.
Yeah, she is in a groove now. How about this? Her first quarter of collegiate action, and she's just dominating the offense right now for Wazoo.
Great hands inside. Ball flipped around. Rooks saves it. Miller now. Plenty of time. Miller deep. Can't get it down. Good job rebounding. And we're going to go the other way and see if Quay picked up that foul. Yes, it'll be Miller's first, team's third. Charlize Ledger-Walker, just a freshman, fearless, knows how to finish. Well, you better close on her, baby. Here at Alaska Airlines Arena, a 12-0 Washington State run has given the Cougars the 12-4 lead, 4:14 left to go in the first quarter. Elise, injuries ravaged this UW club last year, and I hate to say it, but injuries telling the tale early this season.
Well, it's too bad that Missy Peterson is not going to be able to play this year. The senior for local product has had some really big moments, like when she went 11 of 14 at the Pac-12 tournament 2 years ago, and the Huskies made it into the Final Four. of the conference tournament in Las Vegas, but she's unable to go. She blew out her ACL on the left knee. That's her right there. And a couple other players, TT Watkins opting out. She's a junior, so another upperclassman guard not able to go. And then just recently, Alexis Whitfield, the outstanding freshman, already put up 12 points in the win against BYU. 6'2", really athletic. Whitfield, out of West Hills, California, is going to be out for some time, had to have a procedure done, and they don't expect her back for a while. So that's unfortunate. We wish her the best of luck in recovery. All of them. Just best of luck moving forward in this year that is all about taking the opportunities you get and trying to make the most of them.
All right, should have mentioned too, Grace Beasley out with that hip surgery for UW as Rook sits down with her second foul. Grigsby back on the floor for UW. Washington State to inbound. Sarver, Etheridge very high on the sophomore with her quicks and ability to get to the rim. More guard power, true guards for Washington State this year. Ledger Walker has been long with those 15, 20-footers.
That was a beautiful feed from her sister, who looked one way and threw it all the way across to the other side to her sister. She's had those open looks, just hasn't been able to cash in from deep yet. 0 for 3 from deep.
So Sherilyn Molina with her first foul, team's first foul. You know, the fact that she's long with those shots as the ball goes off Reese is a good sign for Washington State. Just a matter of time, I think, before Charlize finds it from long range. There's a good look at Crystal. Huge assist kid at Northern Colorado, 4th in UNC history. So she's looking to facilitate and find those open players. You gotta love that.
Well, and she played in the NCAA tournament. They won the Big Sky the final season that Cammie Etheridge was there as the head coach. So she's got postseason experience. She's got experience running the squad. She's the 5th-year senior. Everything the Cougs need, she can provide.
Crystal getting fancy with that feed as Nankervis, who checked in, wasn't able to handle it. Both coaches going to their benches early. Murakatete back in. Nankervis taking a seat.
Well, and I think that for much of this NCAA season, it will be about your depth, because you don't know from minute to minute if COVID will wreck somebody's ability to play. Yep. You don't know if you're going to be able to condition for. And so the squads that have developed players and can go 10 to 12 deep are going to be at a major advantage.
Lob pass. Sherilyn Molina coming down to play some help defense. I'm not sure if the foul was on her. Nope, it'll go against Murakatete. Her first, team's second. Lind, one of the best stories of the Pac-12 this season, as again, missing point blank is the Washington bunch. Van Dyke is lucky that UW got it back.
Yeah, right now it's interesting. The Cougs are out of alignment defensively, but Murakatete was there to bother Haley Van Dyke's shot, but matching up, major mismatch. Right now you have Grace Sarver on the 6'4" Darcy Reese.
Catch and shoot, contact there, friendly bounce as Van Dyke gets it home. The first UW points, and it seems like forever, like 5 minutes. 5-minute drought really hurt the Husky cause. 12-6, Washington State.
And
2:20 left.
Struggled so far finding the bucket, just 25% for the Dogs. Only 3 made field goals to the first almost 8 minutes of this game.
Washington State keeping it on the perimeter. So Molina drills the triple. They didn't look inside at all.
Well, and that's a big hit for her. She had 0 made threes all of last season. Ooh. And she has been working on her shooting, and Cammie Etheridge is saying she's coming on. We love her quickness, we love her speed, but knocking down that jumper is important.
Reese inside like a layup. Catching it so deep, Murakatete could do nothing.
And that's that sweet spot for every post player. Get down on the box, 2 feet away.
You bet.
Go punish the defender if they're going to stand behind.
Nice job by Ledger Walker to draw that foul.
I think Ledger Walker's already drawn at least 3, if not 4, fouls in this one. And that one's just about setting your feet, and you can tell for Molina how excited she is. A 3-ball goes down. You didn't make one all of last season. She made 4 as a freshman, but something that she has been working on. And Cami Etheridge, I'm sure, is thrilled that she's knocking that one down on the road here against the rival.
Charlize Ledger-Walker already with 8 points this quarter. One of the most decorated high school kids to ever come out of New Zealand. As Elise told you, youngest to ever play for the New Zealand national team. 16, right?
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
It's like a sophomore or junior in high school.
That's
playing
crazy.
with a
double team, comes from the weak side. Wild pass. And Molina really disrupted Reese.
And forcing her to throw that one well over the head of Callie Lynn. A double team on the block coming, and
all right, keep in mind, folks, that because of COVID, Washington State had a tough time getting full contact practices. They were limited for a while as to how many kids could get on the court at the same time. This is their first game of the season. How do you like them so far, Elise?
well, I think this is a brilliant start for the Cougars. On the road, they put up 17 points. They're more than doubling up their rival, and you knew that Washington was going to come out and try to play with a bunch of fire because Washington State has come here and beat them 2 years in a row. But instead, it's the Cougs setting the tone.
Great D inside, and oh, you gotta love the fact that Crystal Ledger-Walker gets snuffed and has the presence to get that ball back and make the assist.
Yeah, I think the Huskies quit playing. They thought it was a tie-up. They thought that it was a jump ball, and instead went up in the air, came down. It was like, hey, what did I find? Wide open lane underneath.
Heady play by Crystal. Noble might have gotten away with a walk. Sadler, she's been quiet. Good board inside by Motuga. Wraps it up every time like a fullback when she comes down with that thing. 2-second differential. Shot and game clock. It'll be a patient Washington State offense.
Now, it looks like right now Washington choosing to go player to player here for this last possession. They have mixed things up.
Charlize flips it. Molina brings down Rain. Rims out. Unlucky there. Noble has got to hoist it. So that'll do it for the first quarter. Remember, Washington led this thing 4-0 in the first minute of play of the first quarter. Look at the score now. Washington State coming to play today. Before the start of today's Apple Cup contest, rivals for sure, but a huge circle of solidarity. The Pac-12, every team committed to raising awareness, raising voices about social justice and racial equality. Elise, I love seeing that pregame. I don't care who's playing and where we are. That means something.
Well, I think it's important for these athletes to be able to have a voice, and I think nobody understands living and accepting others' cultures and colors than those that play sports. It's the beauty of sports. For Washington State, they have so many different cultures. They've got 8 different countries represented. One of them very proud, Bella Murekatete, all the way from Rwanda, the first player ever from the African country of Rwanda to play Division I basketball on the women's side. So they're very proud of her. But just, I think it's very uplifting when you've got 2 teams day in and day out across the NCAA that before the game starts, they're saying, I know I'm gonna fight you with everything I got over the next 40 minutes, but we also, when it's all said and done, have the same understanding, and it's really neat to see those moments.
Well put, friend. Well put. Glad you were shining a light on Murekatete, playing high school hoops in a teeny little school in Idaho, and here she is, living large, D1 hoops. Good look inside. Motuga will go to the line. Second quarter underway here in Seattle. Washington State leading 19-8 as Quay Miller picks up her second.
Trying to draw the charge, close, probably didn't get set quite quickly enough, and she's going to have to take a seat on the bench. And The concern about that one is that Quay Miller is extremely talented and playing some of her best basketball. She started the season with a double-double, 19 and 10 against San Diego State. But the other issue is that now Darcy Reese, who is still trying to come back to 100%, and she is not there yet from a conditioning standpoint. Been dealing with as we mentioned, a fracture in her foot. And so she's going to have to play some extended minutes potentially here in the second quarter.
So Quay Miller with her first double-double of her career against San Diego State. Having a great season so far, on the bench with 2. Kayla Rooks leads this club in assists, on the bench with 2 fouls. That hurts the Husky attack.
Well, and their offense right now needs to find some rhythm. And who are they going to go to? What is the player they're looking for? And Quay Miller's a big part of that. One of their second leading scorer, one of only 2 players in double figures. So
right.
They got to have somebody step up right now. And
it's got to be Haley Van Dyke time if Sadler can't carry the load. Great defense inside by Tudor to beat the shot clock. Tough luck for Sadler. Looking up, head up is Crystal Ledger-Walker. And another foul is going to go against the Washington Huskies, this time against Noble, her first, team second of the quarter.
And just not taking the proper angle for Noble. Out of Mount Spokane High School. Played for a state championship. Had over 20 boards, saw that game down at Tacoma Dome. So an outstanding athlete, and she just taking a bad angle on that one is going to have to take a seat. Nia Lowry in the game now for the Dogs. And remember, one of our keys was Washington scoring off turnovers. They have yet to even turn Wazoo over with any kind of just consistency. Just 2 turnovers for the Cougs. They've done a fabulous job of taking care of the ball.
Unbelievable. You thought that Charlize was stopped on the baseline. She just put her head down and came away using the backboard as her friend.
Yeah, really creative, getting into the lane. The defense left just enough space for her to get that one.
She doesn't need much running the floor. Motuga, unlucky for Sadler. She thought she got all ball, but instead she'll get whistled for that foul, and Motuga will go to the charity stripe. More tosses for Washington State.
Yep, they've been aggressive, and they're going to head to the free throw line again. And this is going to be number 7 and 8 in the free throw attempts for Wazoo. Washington has yet to get there. So that's one area that coaches always look for. Are you being aggressive? Are you trying to get it inside? Are you getting in the lane? Washington State definitely has been the aggressor so far in this one.
23-8 as Motuga will get a couple. She now has 8. Remember, Charlize Ledger-Walker has 11, is outscoring the Huskies all by herself.
It has been all Washington State here, and just hasn't felt like a big run of any kind, but they just have been consistent with their possessions, and they've taken care of the basketball. Cami Etheridge raved when we chatted with her about the IQ of this team, and it is a test against this Washington Husky defense because they make you think, and you got to play, and sometimes it's not about the coaching, it's about reacting.
So dead ball foul against Washington State. Sherilyn Molina picks up her second, team's first. Etheridge says she does the least coaching against this Washington defensive bunch because of all the variety of defenses they throw at you.
Yeah, you just have to be able to react, and a good poke away.
Look at that slip of a pass. Molina, oh baby. Motuga with the layup. Sherry Lynn.
She provides such a spark for this team. She hit the 3 ball. She's screaming in the air. She dumps off the beautiful little 2-on-1 fast break pass and telling her teammate, let's go.
Good Washington State defense causing that turnover, and they turn it into points on the other end. Van Dyke's going to have to get something going. Sadler, too. Stripped away again. Motuga. Look out from behind. Motuga is scoring. Lowry tried to chase her down, but to no avail, and Motuga is in double figures. She's leading everybody now with 13 points.
Oh, the Cougs are coming out and making a statement right now. Their defense and their hands, they have multiple steals and poking the ball away. And this is just a pretty little dump off, freezing Darcy Reese. She's 6'4", can't react quickly enough to affect the shot. And then this is just good hand steal by Motuga, and then the 6-footer going coast to coast. Nobody catches her. And you don't get anything easier than that. And that's why coaches love the defense. And then the live ball turnover. Nothing easier than that. 2 points on the board. And look at this score, 29-8, a 21-point lead for the Cougs. And Washington right now is just massively struggling against this Cougar defense.
A 29-4 Washington State run. It was 4-0 early in this first quarter, and Washington State is living large these last few minutes, chunk of minutes. That's one of the rare turnovers and a total giveaway by Washington State. And look at Motuga turn it over, wants to save it, can't get it back.
And even on that play for Washington State, they turned the ball over, but their pressure almost getting it back for them. And they're just flying around, and look at this, almost able to snag that one. But Washington struggling again, just 27% shooting, 50, and even 50 for the Cougs.
Again, a reminder, Washington State's season opener. I mean, this is the first time that Washington State has opened up against a Pac-12 team. They've never opened up this late, I think, in NCAA play. This is just crazy, and they look like a seasoned team. Ball fake. Short on that one is Tudor. The bench was going to erupt wearing the maroon if that one would have gone down. Reese, deep. We're going to go the other way as Murakatete stands her ground. Reese with the foul. She sold that one, didn't she?
Yeah, I want to take another look at it if she lowered her shoulder or not.
Yeah,
and
let's
that's
take a look.
on these. Like, I don't think she was set, but right here, is this an acting job or, I mean, did that elbow get her? It's hard to tell on that angle.
The shoulder wasn't down,
No,
but
the shoulder
elbow
wasn't
was
down.
out.
I want to know if Clark Stevens thought maybe that the elbow had come up.
Melissa Barlow, Clark Stevens, Teresa Turner are officiating crew as another turnover against Washington State. And with all due respect to the Cougars in this start, they can still ill afford to give away scoring opportunities via the turnover.
But Washington is a team that, under Jody Wynn, has been really good in spurts. And there's so many games in the first 3 years of the Jody Wynn tenure where they had massive leads in the first half and then teams adjusted and they came back. Washington is going to have to adjust now. They've only put 8 points on the board through 14 minutes of action, and you're never going to win doing that. And they have got to find a way. It's man-to-man defense from Washington State. They're playing aggressive, but you got to find your scores.
Noble down low. He was little against little in that paint, and nothing doing for Noble. Ledger Walker, leave it. Tudor again off from long distance, and here comes Van Dyke. Haley has been very quiet with just the 2 points. There's the double team down low. Reese avoids that, tries to find the angle. She'll go to the line.
And one of the few times that Washington State has not been able to completely disrupt, but they had her trapped. They had Darcy Reese trapped underneath, but too much contact, and Murakatete is going to take a seat on the bench.
She's got 2 fouls now, does Murakatete. So Sheer Levy, one of the veterans for Cami Etheridge. Longtime starter now off the bench as Reese bounces it home.
Well, for Murakatete, she hasn't had a lot of success on the offensive end. She's just 1 of 4, but she's such a big presence underneath the rim. You saw the big block and then getting out and running. And when Washington has tried to go down to Darcy Reese, they put a smaller player on her, but Bella Murakatete has been looming on the weak side to provide some support and help.
Here comes some heat, another Washington State turnover. They've been turning it over a little too much for Etheridge's taste. We'll go the other way.
3 turnovers in a row for Washington State.
And they were taking such good care of it. Lind, catch and shoot. Unlucky there. Motuga's been a monster on the boards. Sneaking in for the offensive rebound. Sarver can't get it down. Washington State has gone cold.
That was a good hustle play by Washington State. Washington had the first couple possessions with the backdoor cuts. They were cutting hard. And since that time, I feel like they've just been kind of like in mud.
Noble blocked inside. Levy did a great job with the hands, no contact with the body. Levy feeling good about that one. Cougs feeling good about the score. Apple Cup round 1, Washington State cruising at the moment midway through the second quarter, 29-10. Sisters all over the place wearing this Washington State gear, Elise.
Yeah, and these are two that I was excited to see what can they bring to this Washington State program. Well, they're bringing it here in the first game of the season, let me tell you. The freshman leading all scorers, Charlize Ledger-Walker, with 11 points. She's 4 of 9 today. She's also got 3 boards and 2 assists. And then, of course, the Molina sisters have been here on campus. Both of them are juniors, one redshirted, the older one, Sherilyn. So I think right now, Cami Etheridge just got to be thrilled with these 4 and their contributions today. Sherilyn's done a great job coming off the bench and providing a spark. And then the 2 Ledger-Walker sisters starting in this game and have been holding it down.
Not many offensive rebounds for this Washington bunch on the miss as Van Dyke misses badly, and Washington State will reload. Quay Miller back on the floor. She and Rooks both with 2 fouls apiece for Washington.
And I think Jody Wynn's looking at the scoreboard and saying, we got to do something right now. Down by 19, we cannot wait any longer.
So offensive foul against Washington State off the ball.
Well, Washington State has gone into a stretch here of turnovers. But Washington has yet to be able to capitalize. Wazoo now with 6 turnovers.
Levy picks up that foul, by the way, and on the floor right now for Washington State. Without Charlize, you wonder who's going to score for them. Washington needs a run. Rooks will get it started.
Good job using her body, just get in the lane with her size and scoring off the window. A direct line drive. They have not had enough of those today for Jody Wynn's liking.
29-12, another whistle blown. So Noble picks up her second foul. Number 5 in terms of team fouls for the Washington Huskies. So Charlize Ledger-Walker, on the floor. It was Crystal that was on the bench, and Charlize will toe the line.
Yeah, this has been a major area of strength for Washington State in this game. This will be number 9 and 10 at the line, and they have 10 attempts. They've knocked down 8 of them. Washington has only been to the line twice, and they have gotten Washington into foul trouble. It has messed up their rotations, and they have continued to get into the lane and cause problems and draw fouls. And not only that, with 3.5 minutes to go in this one, they're going to be heading to the line every time they're touched.
10 on the shot clock now for Rooks. Contact. Nice job cutting. Rooks finding Noble, and Noble will go to the line as Levy picks up her second foul, team's 5th.
So Kayla Rooks had the direct line drive for the bucket, and then Noble there cutting back door, going strong with the left hand and picking up a foul. So 2 aggressive takes for Washington.
Crystal Ledger-Walker back on the floor for Washington State. Reese for Washington. You see why Rooks is valuable for this Washington club and needs to be on the floor, leading this team in assists. She was very patient with that head on a swivel looking for the cutter.
For Noble, crazy. As aggressive as she's been in this game, and I've liked it. She hasn't been able to finish, but she's gotten into the lane and shows how athletic she is. She's 0 of 4 from the field, but this is the first 2 free throws of her career. We're in game number 5.
Grigsby with the pick. Lind can't finish. There's Haley Van Dyke basically just pushing Sarver out of the way.
And I think that might be the first bucket off a turnover for the Dogs, and it's with less than 3 to go in the second quarter.
Washington State, it's gotten ugly for the Cougars lately. Sadler behind the back. He's going to wait for Reese. She's got the range, does the Aussie. Ball tipped away. Lucky for Washington. Lind. Reese tips it, but right into the hands of Ledger Walker.
Now that's one of those Darcy Reese wants to come down with. She had the weak side rebound, and it was Grace Sarver, and give her a ton of credit. She was fighting in on the weak side glass against the 6'4" player. I mean, we're talking 10 inches of height advantage to Darcy Reese, and somehow Grace Sarver was able to compete down there and knock it away and keep it out of Darcy Reese's hands.
So Sadler picks up her second foul as Michaela Jones, number 2, checks in for Washington State.
And that's a foul that you're given. You got to work so hard to get 2 free throws most of the time, and instead you're fouling 90+ feet away from the hoop. And given the Cougs' leading scorer 2 freebies at the line, and that's a freshman foul there by Sadler, and that's also her second foul.
Yeah.
So now all of a sudden she's in that danger zone here with 2.5 minutes to play, and the Huskies are in all kinds of foul trouble. Nobody has 3 yet, but when you get those 2 fouls, you can't be as aggressive.
Grigsby looking for someone. Ball fake, and now Lind. Van Dyke, Grigsby. Nice job on the box out by Crystal Ledger Walker.
And that's one of those IQ things that Cami Etheridge was talking about. Just doing the little things there. Boxing out your player. No chance to come away with that O board if you're a dog.
Charlize puts the ball on the floor. Draws contact. She loves contact. And she'll go to the line again as Lind picks up her first. Man.
Charlize Ledger Walker will be heading to the line for her 9th and 10th opportunity right now in the first half.
That is unbelievable.
She is finding a way to get in the lane, be aggressive, and she's strong. She definitely does not look like a kid out there. She looks like she belongs at the D1 level.
D1 ready. Both coaches told us that about Charlize Ledger Walker. 34-15, $1:52 left to go in the second as Rooks checks back in. She's one of many Huskies with 2 personal fouls. She'll have to be careful. Rooks, who leads this club in assists. She's set up a few teammates very nicely. Sadler on the baseline, throws it right to Ledger Walker. Charlize on the run. Flips it inside, almost threw it away. Nice job to keep it alive. And finally, Tudor, who hasn't quit shooting, cans it.
That's a good job of being patient. You get into the lane, the defense has to suck down, and then you kick it back out. Tudor wide open for the 3. Well done by the Cougs, pushing the tempo.
She's on the board for the first time. Tudor, good little player. Transfer, JUCO out of South Plains College, helping Cami Etheridge right away. 5 on the shot clock for Reese and UW. Wheeling to the baseline. Pretty good interior defense. We're going to go the other way. Charlize hesitates, blows right by Rooks. Good hands by Rooks to avoid the foul.
Now this Cougar defense is flying around and really doing a wonderful job. This is on the other end where just good ball movement. Don't force anything, and I love that you see multiple Cougar players pointing at everybody else being like, hey, good job by you. Hey, way to go, you too. And they're fired up right now, and they should be. They are putting on a clinic right now. 37-15. They are dominating this first half.
Sorry for the interruption. Charlize with all the points. Crystal with all the assists. Blowing a layup inside is Charlize. That doesn't happen very often. Jump ball belongs to the Huskies.
That was one of her easier shots of the half. I don't know if she was expecting contact, as she's received plenty here in the first half, but that was a missed opportunity to continue to add on to her 16 first half points.
So 16 points for Charlize. Her sister Crystal scoreless, but 6 rebounds, a couple of assists. That's a line she can live with.
She's done a good job of just leading this team and I've watched her on the defensive end. She's done a nice job. They're communicating with one another. They're in their stance. They're very active. They're not allowing UW to enter it down low to their post players.
Mismatch inside. Van Dyke can't get it down. Another point-blank range, and Rooks, who kept battling, she had Jones on her, and Washington couldn't find Rooks. But with the offensive rebound effort, she'll go to the line.
Well, a couple of things. Washington right now is shooting just 21% in this first half. They've only got 15 points on the board, and we're just about ready to head into halftime. Give credit to Washington State's defense right now. Washington has missed some bunnies. They haven't had a lot of uncontested looks. They haven't been able to force Washington State over to turn the ball over to get easy looks. And right now, Washington State is taking Washington completely out of their offense. They're switching when they need to switch. They're getting through screens. They're communicating. They've really played a good 20 minutes of basketball here, minus these final 12.7 seconds where they're going to try to get one last bucket.
Rooks makes the first, misses the second. 7 now on the game. Crystal, does she know it? Motuga, does she know it? That's a poor possession for Washington State to end the first half, but plenty of positives for this Washington State club, trailing 4-0 in round 1 of the Apple Cup and leading at the break 37-16. Fun game for the Cougars as they begin season looking mid-season form. Pac-12 halftime report commences in just a moment. Most D1 schools have already gotten a few games under their belt. Washington State opening the season today against arch rival Washington, 37-16. Cougars taking that big lead into the third quarter.
Well, and they look like they've saved up all their energy while everybody else was playing. They were just getting ready. What a start to the season for Cami Etheridge and the Cougs. So many new faces. We mentioned no Borislava Hrstova, no Chanel Molina. And yet they've got these newcomers that have slid right in and had tremendous success here in the first half on both ends of the floor. And sometimes your freshmen or your newcomers may struggle on the defensive end while they learn your system. That has not looked to be the case at all. They look in unison on that end of the floor, and it's creating a lot of good shots for them on the other end.
Both clubs coming in with a youthful lineup from top to bottom. Jody Wynn with a couple of seniors. Cami Etheridge with that grad transfer in Crystal Ledger-Walker, but then a lot of young pups wearing maroon.
Yeah, there's a lot of youth on both sides, and it's exciting to see all the freshmen in this conference, and these two teams have a lot of them. And on that note, Tamia Sadler is an outstanding talent, 4-star recruit, number 2 in white right there. And she is the Huskies' leading scorer. She came in averaging 16 points per game, and right now she only has 2 and only 4 attempts at the hoop. Washington State has done a nice job keeping her out of the paint, and that was one of the keys to the game, is that she had to get in there and create shots for herself and for her teammates and really make that defense move and collapse, and that has not happened yet. Washington State has done a really good job just sticking with her. They haven't had to have a lot of weak side help. And Washington State has dominated on both ends of the floor in this one so far through the first 20 minutes.
Third quarter underway here at Alaska Airlines Arena, round 1 of the Apple Cup series. Favoring Washington State at the moment. Washington's going to have some kind of defensive effort and offensive run as Motuga, short corner, and releasing quickly to flag that down. Charlize Ledger-Walker with another rebound.
Good first defensive possession for Washington, but they cannot finish the play with the board.
So the ball fake really didn't fake out Quay Miller, but she didn't move her feet enough, and Miller commits her 3rd foul right out of the chutes.
Yeah, that's one that you can see the look of frustration on her face as soon as she got called for it. She didn't fall for the fake, but her arm swung down, and that's just one of those that you want back. It's not going to affect the shot enough to make it worth your time to sit on the bench for so long, and she was in foul trouble in the first half. And oh yeah, by the way, the free throws, Ledger-Walker knocking down her 10th free throw. She's been there 12 times. You've just given away free points if you continue to foul her. She is so good so far. It's the first impression of getting in that lane and finding contact.
What a debut for Charlize Ledger-Walker with 18 now. Short corner, Reese, we talked about her range. Front rim and off, Van Dyke, a good rebounder, all alone inside, and then kicks it off her own foot. That kind of day for the Huskies.
Yeah, and the body language for Haley Van Dyke. She went up high, got the rebound, and kind of the parting of the Red Sea was left open. She can't believe that she couldn't get that bucket. It's as wide open as she's been.
Van Dyke with 9 boards, but not much to show offensively. Wide open on the miss. Ledger-Walker and Rooks leading the way for Washington. Sadler scored early and then has been really quiet. Reese playing more minutes than she probably counted on, still rehabbing from the foot. Great tag team defense by Washington State. Will go the other way.
And the double teaming coming to Reese and bothering her so far in this game.
Murakatete way short on that. Rooks. Boy, that ball bounced right out of bounds and the official did not see it. Washington will retain possession and keep playing.
Well, not just again, the Cougs right there. The Huskies throwing the ball backcourt. Didn't have a lot of speed or velocity on it because they were falling out of bounds. And the Cougs were right there. The Huskies lucky not to turn that one over.
Reese again, wide open, rimming out. One and done for Washington all game long.
Now, in these first 2 minutes, when you have a huge halftime lead, are so crucial. And Washington State has come out, and they continue to show their presence on the defensive end.
Motuga flips it. Crystal. 3 seconds against Washington State.
Good idea, but Murakatete sitting down there waiting for the ball and just took too long to get it to her. And
check the D out.
Yeah, so here's Motuga, and then you got the weak side. Darcy Reese trying to be patient, work her way down to the spot that she likes. She likes going left, but she runs right into the 6'5" Murakatete.
Van Dyke blocked. Great job by Charlize. Careless turnover by Ledger-Walker.
Yeah, she thought she was going to feed it down low on the bounce pass, have a highlight type play. It gets poked away and off of Murakatete. This is excellent read defensively. Just stayed with Haley Van Dyke, got her hand up, knew that Van Dyke leaning to the left was going to use that left hand and went right up with her.
Gave up a couple of inches, did Ledger-Walker, and still played the good D. Sadler. Boy, that's huge for Washington and Sadler. Maybe that'll get her going.
That's the first made 3 of the game for the Washington Huskies. And you're just not going to win a lot of games in this conference if you cannot knock down a 3-ball. They're now 1 of 10. But that might be something that gives this offense some kind of spark.
Another turnover. Here comes Van Dyke. Washington State starting to play careless, and it's a 5-0 Washington run.
And that's what Washington uses as a huge part of their game plan. Turnovers and then easy buckets on the other end. So they hit the 3, they had some defensive intensity, it led to a lay-in. That's probably the best back-to-back possessions for Washington in this game.
Ball fake. Tudor wants to go inside Murakatete. Kind of shot put that thing up there, but it's true.
She's got a 5-inch height advantage over Kayla Rooks, and Kayla Rooks, you let her get that deep. It's pretty easy to just turn and score over the top when you have that big of a height advantage.
And Rooks with the foul trouble isn't going to be aggressive. Van Dyke avoids the double team and scores. Again, she's waking up.
Yeah, it's amazing how sometimes an open court lay-in, as easy as it is, you get the ball to go in the bucket, and all of a sudden that confidence starts to rise. She looks more aggressive over the last couple of possessions.
Rooks with another assist. 41-23. Well, that was interesting. Crystal Ledger-Walker didn't want to shoot that. Couldn't find anybody open and then just went ahead and said, what the heck?
It's her first bucket of the game, and it was like, oh, excuse me, am I open? All right, I'll take it. And a huge shot for the Cougs. The Huskies had some momentum. It looked good, but all of a sudden you look up and You see the ball going in again for the Cougs. That's their 4th made 3.
Good answer by Washington State. Beautiful look inside. Reese hanging with it. Wants to find an open teammate. Blocked by Murakatete. Reese may be a little gassed.
And she's had to play a lot of minutes, and as she comes back from that foot injury, she's not used to this many inmates. And here you go, Quay Miller coming in.
So we'll go to break after a Washington State turnover, but it's a 44-23 Coug lead. Commanding lead for the visiting Washington State Cougars here at Alaska Airlines Arena, round 1 of the Apple Cup. And if you're in that huddle with Washington, what perhaps might Jody Lynn be telling her team?
Well, I think that she has to have this team build off their defense. That's the way they're put together. That's the way they're built. You're not going to make an epic comeback against your rivals if you're not doing it on the defensive end. And they've played with better energy here in the 3rd quarter. They're even with the Cougs here. Each team has scored 7. And remember, for Washington, quarter number 1, they scored 8. Quarter number 2, they scored 8. So it's progress. They've got 7 here with almost 5 minutes to go. But it starts on that defensive end. And like so many young teams, they get energy when the ball goes in the hoop. But the way that they score in bunches is by playing defense and then getting out and running. So for the way Washington is built and what their program is about, they got to start things by just getting after it on the defensive end.
So Van Dyke leading the charge for the Washington Huskies. If I'm not mistaken, she's on the bench right now. As Lynn, with the 3, follows her own shot. Just awarded a scholarship, the former walk-on, Callie Lind. Rooks rimming out. And Washington getting after the offensive boards and getting another shot opportunity. 4:23 left to go in the 3rd quarter.
Now, Quinn Miller has yet to score in this game. There's 2 shots in this one. She's been saddled with foul trouble. They need to get her involved.
Charlize Ledger-Walker picks up her first. Team's first.
The 2 freshmen getting after it there.
Noble Sadler gets something going. Ten on the shot clock. Rooks with another 3 ball. Splashes at home.
And they're going to need a lot more of those going down. You can see Sadler just trying to run the show. She's a true point guard. Played with Cameron Brink in her days of AAU ball and some other really talented players where she's been a facilitator a lot. Scored in the first 4 games at a very high clip. And another turnover by Washington State.
They've turned it over a bunch late in the 2nd quarter and then in this 3rd quarter as well. Tudor passing up the wide open 3 and then shuffled her feet. So Washington with a chance to get ever closer. 3:35 left to go in the 3rd. Miller, single coverage. Says goodbye to the double team. Keeps battling. Good job by Murakatete to stay home.
Yeah, she's just a big body. And she does a nice job holding her ground. Got a couple of fouls early in this one, protecting the paint. 5 boards. And she may not have a ton of blocks, but she's affected shots down there and kept the Huskies at 24% shooting in this one.
Noble picked up that foul moments ago, by the way, her 3rd. But Washington, I think if they close this thing to 13-14, they're going to think they've got a chance at this. Ledger-Walker, players with Washington gear on had to lay low on that possession. They couldn't get in more foul trouble. Miller and Rooks, they had to let that layup go.
I think they may be in a box and 1 right now, and Noble is face guarding Ledger-Walker.
Tough stick by Noble. Just put her head down and would not be denied.
I want to see, I think that last possession, either there wasn't weak side. Now that's how you take care of it. You don't have to worry about looking at the defense when you just step into a 3 and drill it, Motuga.
What an answer by Motuga. And the quicks of Sadler. So Tudor picks up the foul, and Sadler, Washington taking that ball right out of the bottom of the bucket and going hard.
Well, and that's better energy for Washington. But this right here, just why are you leaving her wide open? She's already hit one. You gotta, I know you're not expecting the 6-foot forward to stop and pop first pass into the offense, but you gotta be ready. Hands up.
Motuga out of Australia, Washington State starter since late in her freshman year. She's a junior now, and you can tell that she is a confident and very offensive-minded player to go along with the defense.
She's had an outstanding game so far. Just 7 shots, but 16 points for the efficiency for Motuga, and she's been on the floor a lot.
Murakatete had a hand on that, but we'll go the other way. Lowry, Grigsby returning for Washington. 49-29. Washington State with the lead.
And we haven't really seen Sadler attack the paint.
Sadler cut off. 5 on the shot clock, picks up the dribble. Lowry's going to have to do something. And that's a poor possession for Washington. And while I'm thinking of it, Motuga, who has been brilliant in this game, sitting on a career high. 16 points, one better than her previous career high. What a way to start the season for the Aussie.
Yeah, she has had to take on a bigger role leadership-wise, and Cami Etheridge says that she's seen that and seen her growth. And what a game for her to start the season. Pac-12 play.
Crystal Ledger-Walker coughs it up. Shovel pass inside to Reese, and she's able to kind of take it as it goes right into her gut and quickly flip it in.
Good playmaking there by Jada Noble.
That shot blocked by Sadler. Good D by the freshman.
Yeah, she's got some long arms going out there. As the only part of the game for Ledger Walker that she hasn't been able to cash in. But this is a nice job playmaking by the freshman. Noble driving baseline. The defense has to respect that, cut her off, and that left Darcy Reese open for just a quick catch and shoot.
Yeah, Reese with the season high 8 points. Savvy play there by Charlize to take that long lead pass and bat it right to a teammate. Under a minute to go in the third quarter. 49-31. Washington led 4-0 early, and then Washington State just exploded and has dominated since the early moments of the first quarter. Drive, kick, finish, and one, baby!
Yeah, that's 2 big buckets for the redshirt senior Crystal Ledger-Walker. Started her career at Northern Colorado, transferred over. We mentioned played for Cami Etheridge there, but here, just the good patience. And the defense rotating over late, and the feet for Alexis Grigsby inside the circle. And it's an easy call for Melissa Barlow underneath, and Crystal hit the big 3 a little bit earlier. 6 boards to go along with those 7 points. And that's right around her career averages. 3 years spent at Northern Colorado, and her average of scoring just a little bit over 8 per game. She's a facilitator, gets everybody involved. You've seen that. One player she's found a lot is her sister. She's got 18.
Completes the 3-point play as Selena Molina checks in for Washington State, as does Nan Curvis. So 5-second differential between shot and game clock. 52-31, Washington State. Sadler eyeballing the defense with 10 on the shot clock. Here's the high pick from Reese. Sadler didn't want it. Rooks, 3-pointer. Splashes that home too. Turnover, Van Dyke. Nice job by Washington as Rooks hits the 3, and the jump ball favors Washington with plenty of time under their own goal for a decent shot.
Yeah, this is could be a 5-point swing.
Wow, with 1.9 left, Van Dyke goes high, draws the foul, and I think Motuga got her. Her first. Wow, could be a 5-point swing to end this half if Van Dyke can the tosses. There's the first one. Van Dyke nearing double figures.
Yeah, near the quarter. As we in the third quarter.
Yep.
Haley Van Dyke done a nice job, been active on the glass with the 9 boards. And
she's close to a double-double.
Yeah.
Kind roll there. AJ Martineau on the floor for the first time. And quietly, with a 5-point run to end the third quarter, Washington maybe feeling like they're still in this thing. Rooks cans the 3. She'll never hesitate from there. Huskies win that third quarter, but still trail Washington State 52-36 as we go into the fourth and final stanza of round 1 of the Apple Cup. Hey, coming up next, it's Pac-12 men's basketball as the Bruins play host to the Golden Eagles in Westwood. UCLA tipping off against Marquette. Next on Pac-12 Network, or just download and stream live wherever you might be with Pac-12 Now. That should be a fun non-conference mid-December tilt.
I don't know about you, but I'm just so excited to see college basketball on whenever I get the opportunity, because you just never know.
Amen. We show up at the arena, we see folks starting to warm up, and I darn near take a knee. I'm so happy.
Absolutely.
Fourth quarter underway.
The Huskies look like they're starting out 1-3-1 trap, trying to force some turnovers, see if they can get after things a little bit.
Little jumble there. Washington State, Reese with the block. And a kind roll for Murakatete, who stayed with it. Unfortunate for Reese, who played good D there.
Huskies disrupting enough, but just not quite enough, as Murakatete just mentioned, the kind roll of the rim, and that's what it takes.
Washington State season opener. Washington Huskies home opener. Reese down low. Good hands mismatch for Reese. Wow. You got to love the defense by Charlize Ledger-Walker, who gave up a ton of length on that one.
Yeah, they've done a nice job bothering Darcy Reese on that end. This one is Murakatete just sticking with it, gets it blocked back, comes right back to her, and she says, all right, I'll just make it from a little further out.
All right, we're checking the basketball over on the sideline, and we're going to go to another ball. All right. That's a nice moment there. A nice moment there with Reese and Murakatete.
Just the international flavor. Reese out of Australia, Murakatete from Rwanda. Having a conversation here in Seattle.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Washington trying to bring some heat to force more Washington State turnovers. They've been prone to the cough-ups, have the Cougs. And now only 10 seconds on that shot clock. Nice job.
That's perfect
Motuga
for Washington State. They just want to keep taking time off the clock. I know that it's early, 8:45 to go, but Washington State looking to win here in Seattle for the 3rd year in a row. Cami Etheridge looking to go 4-1 in the rivalry series since she took over in Pullman. And you see 8:44 left on the scoreboard. You'll take an offensive board, kick it back out, take some time off the clock.
I like the idea of Crystal Ledger-Walker, but way too strong off the glass on the reverse. Sadler poke checked away. Sherilyn Molina able to finish. Good D by Molina.
Yeah, she's feisty. She's done a nice job coming off the bench and providing a spark on both ends of the floor. She knocked down the big 3 ball, that time getting the pick.
Saddled with early foul trouble. Big play there. Nice ball movement. Grigsby, wide open 3. Rooks likes the mismatch underneath. she'll go to the line as Crystal Ledger-Walker hacked her.
And look at this, splitting the defense. Sadler trying to catch her. So they shouldn't want to pick up another foul, and Molina taking it all the way in. Sherilyn Molina, the 5'6" junior. Gatorade Player of the Year 2 times in the state of Hawaii. Just a run of her and her older sister Chanel Molina, 5 in a row.
Unbelievable. They were great multi-sport athletes. Selena and Sherry Lynn won a state relay sprint championship in high school together. Just get the last name right, and they've got you you're covered.
On this, you can even have the initial and the last name. It's both C, Selena and Sherry
There you
Lynn.
go. 56-37. A lot of time left in this. Remember, Washington won the third quarter. Maybe they've got a huge run in them. That's what it's going to take. Murkatete walked. It's going to be important for Washington State to not stray too far from what has been working for them to this point.
Well, at this point with the time and score, I always do a formula in my head of how many minutes are left according to how many points you are down. Well, there's 7.5 minutes left, and Washington is down by 19. That means they cannot waste time right now. They got to get shots up within 10-15 seconds on the shot clock. They got to press. They got to turn tempo. And for Washington State, it's the exact opposite. They just want to take time off the clock, be smart. And right now, Washington just milking the shot clock.
Nicely done by Van Dyke. It was kind of a broken broken half-court possession for Washington, but Van Dyke on the offensive rebound and putback.
Washington trying to apply some full-court pressure, but broken easily by Washington State.
Van Dyke with the double-double now, 12 and 10. Good sign as Jody Wynn wants Van Dyke to pick up that scoring. 7 on the shot clock for Molina.
Very smart, just working this shot clock all the way down.
Charlize can't get it down. Almost loses the handle, does Lowry. Spinning. Travel will go against Nia. So when Washington is winning games and they go into this one 3-1, they've got a good shooting percentage. They're shooting the ball well from beyond the arc. Positive assist to turnover ratio. None of that happening today.
Well, I think that's just a young team. And boy, it sure looked like the Cougs were more experienced. I think it starts with that 5th-year redshirt senior point guard and Crystal Ledger-Walker, who ran the offense here for Washington State. So far in this one, she's just been really solid.
Charlize has cooled off a little bit for Washington State.
Now Washington adjusted at halftime and started face guarding her, and hasn't put her at the foul line either.
Van Dyke off the glass. It's going to stay right here. It looks like Motuga with the body language might have picked up that foul. Now it'll be on Crystal Ledger-Walker. It'll be her 3rd foul. Team's 4th. Excuse me, team's 2nd. Inside look for Rooks. One of the easier buckets Washington has had all game long. Rooks now with 12.
So Washington to within 15, but they've got to start forcing those turnovers, and Washington State handling this pressure beautifully so far in this game. They've had 16 turnovers, but it's been with that constant pressure, and then they have not given up the live ball turnovers very often.
Great weak side rebounding effort by Molina. So she's fouled by Grigsby, her 2nd. Rooks with a season high now, as she's starting to cook a little bit with the 12 points to go along with 6 boards. That's frustrating for Washington. They got the stop, and yet the offensive rebound and foul gives the Cougars new life, new look.
Yeah, the hustle board today has been tilted in favor of Washington State. There's no question. They have done a lot of little things really well. Hustling after the loose ball, getting on the ground.
Well, it looked like a great ball movement situation for Washington State. Instead, Molina tries to get crafty with the putback. Ball goes off of Ledger Walker, and Washington State has cooled off. They still like the 15-point lead, but 5 minutes is a long time. Let's see what kind of comeback they've got. Excuse me, partner.
Yeah, no, Washington State down to just 37% shooting, but the problem is Washington can't capitalize.
Van Dyke is starting to take things over along with Rooks offensively for this Washington bunch.
This is as close as Washington has been in quite some time. 13 points. They were down by 21 at halftime. But they got to get up, force some turnovers. The clock is their enemy in this one, and Washington State just kindly taking time off the clock.
Another turnover. Jump ball favors Washington. It was 21-8 seconds into the second quarter. And that's the closest Washington has been. And I guarantee you, Jody Wynn is selling, we've still got action, we've still got a chance. It's only 13 now, the deficit. Stretch run time here in Seattle. Washington State, the lead only 13 as Washington starting to mount a little bit of a comeback, Elise Woodward.
Yeah, they have definitely taken advantage on the other end. I think Washington State has gone into protect mode. They want to work that shot clock down to the final seconds and then get a last-second shot. They want to take care of the basketball, and they don't want to foul. And for Washington, they've been more aggressive, getting inside the lane. They've had Kayla Rooks come through, hit a couple of three balls. So the shooting for Washington has come alive, and they've pulled to within 13. But this is still a very big hole that they are trying to pull themselves out of. Washington State right now has not scored in the last 4 minutes and 12 seconds. It has been almost the entire fourth quarter that Washington State, they've taken time off the clock. They've done some things really, really well, but it's finishing time for the Cougs, and I'm sure that's what Cami Etheridge was reminding them in that last time out.
Jab step, Rooks now puts the ball on the deck. That was a mistake. Charlize Ledger-Walker, who has been cold, somewhat cold from the floor compared to the way she started, gets an easy layup.
Yeah, she read that beautifully on the defensive end. Anticipated the spin from Rooks.
Answer down low is Sadler. So again, Washington taking the ball out of the bottom of the net and getting a look inside that they can work with. Good job by Crystal Ledger-Walker and Molina to take care of any of the heat. 3:27 left to go in regulation. Obviously, Washington needs a bunch of stops. Another turnover by Washington State. Van Dyke. Rooks feeling it. Unlucky there.
And Washington State going with 4 guards on the floor right now. The tallest player on the floor for Washington State, just 6 feet.
Wow.
And that's for ball handling purposes here down the stretch against the pressure of Washington. But it will leave them exposed on the rebounding front.
58-45, 3:13 left. Every possession crucial for this Washington bunch. Sadler. High pick, no roll. Van Dyke. Washington State wanted a travel. Ball goes off of Molina with 6 on the shot clock.
And again, Molina just down there causing havoc. She is listed at 5'6", and I would say you put her on the board, that is not true.
Heck no.
But she is completely defensively causing havoc against bigger players.
Her weak side defense has been terrific. And you're going to watch Ledger-Walker hesitate and draw the foul from Rooks, who had done a really good job of staying out of further foul trouble, but picks up her third.
Well, at this point, Washington's going to have to start fouling here. Down by double digits. There's only 2:49 to go.
Only the second team foul by Washington. Remember, Washington State was on the free throw line a ton in the first half.
And Kemi Etheridge said she loves this team. She felt really good about how they've practiced, how they've handled not playing here till mid-June. And boy, if they come out and just made a statement. 13-point lead, 2.5 to go on the road, looking for their third straight win in Seattle.
That hasn't happened since 1975.
It's quite a long time ago.
Sadler front rimming off. Motuga crashes, but it's Tudor. And Molina flies in for the deuce. Every bucket now for Washington State feels like a bit of a dagger.
Well, and that was a really unselfish play. You got the freshman in Ledger Walker, could have taken it herself. It was 2-on-0. But she saw her cutting teammate Molina, who came in off the bench and provided a spark. But those are one you, as a team, she gave it up that time. She's going to get it back many more times in the future for that. And she could have taken it herself, but there's Sherilyn Molina sprinting up ahead to get the bucket.
So Lynn back on the floor, as is Nan Curvis. You watch what Charlize Ledger Walker did in the first half. 75-80% of her points coming in the first half. But still, what a debut. Even though she cooled off a bit in this second half, the lead looks to be too big for Washington to overcome. Foul away from the ball against Washington State.
And that was Sherilyn Molina,
yep,
again on the mismatch down low, but it hasn't been a mismatch. She has not allowed it to be a mismatch. She has been physical and feisty and is using her feet to get around in front and poke at the ball.
But the last thing you want to do is stop the clock and let Washington go to the free throw line to get well. That's what Etheridge, I think, was talking to Molina about. This isn't the time. You got to be smart.
Yeah, no, which is completely true, but you also loved her energy and the way she is competing here to the very, very end. She doesn't want to get posted up down low. She's like, I'm not giving you that bucket.
I love the fact that Molina has just waited her turn, if you will, continued to improve, continued to work, and she's going to get a ton of minutes this year for Washington State. $1:40 left to go in this game. Charlize looking for some help. Nan Curvis is fouled by Miller. Number 4 on Quay, who's been too quiet.
I think Crystal Ledger Walker, she's coming off the floor. She just bonked heads with Nia Lowry, and her nose, you could tell her reaction. She's over on the bench now, and she took a shot.
I missed that one, and towel goes to the snoot, you bet.
And those are one that happens a lot. Two players going to the same spot, same time, and she's the one that has been leading the way for the ball handling for Washington State. This is a comfortable lead, minute and a half, 14-point lead. But you hope that this is something, a lot of players wearing those face masks. And
yeah, definitely saw some blood coming out of the nose before the towel went and the head tipped back.
And the reason why, I noticed that she got hit with Lowry when they came together. And she kind of gave her head a shake. And then Ledger Walker went over, got the ball, and brought it up the floor with every calm, collected body language that you can imagine. That is what a fifth-year senior does for you. She's like, I'm not going to stop in the middle of the play and say, oh yeah, I might have broke my nose, or whatever the case.
Unbelievable.
I just got drilled in the face. And she's over there with a towel to her face, but she had the presence of mind to bring the ball up past half court and hand it off to her teammates. I hope she's okay over there.
All right, so I hope the Ledger Walker's mom, who coached these kids in high school, I hope she's watching, because she's got to be mighty proud of both Crystal and Charlize.
And she says, come on, you got to be as good as I was. She was, Leanne Walker was with the New Zealand national team, played in the Olympics in 2000 and 2004.
Yep,
and
a couple of Olies.
Yeah. So what a great basketball family. Mom was an Olympian.
Mankervis with the good look inside. Wasn't able to get that down. Buck 15. All right, well, we've got a few seconds, Elise. If this lead holds with the buck 10 left, what do you like about Washington State today?
I really like their energy and the way they communicated defensively. Game 1 of the season, to come out and be this effective holding Washington to just 30% shooting, I just thought they played smart. Didn't try to do too much. They took care of the basketball enough, and they're going to clean up a lot of things, there's no question, but what a statement.
60-46, come on back for the final 54 seconds. Ann and Elise, delighted to have you with us. Washington State trailed 4-0 early and then took this game over and lead 60-46 with under a minute to go.
It has been all Washington State, and Washington has gone on very few runs, a couple of 5-0s. Washington State has gone into some scoring droughts, but there is not a time in this game past the first few minutes that you didn't think that Washington State was not in control.
Washington's upcoming schedule, they just added Portland, and then it's going to get awfully tough. Both of these schools will be facing the Oregon teams, then at Colorado, at Utah.
Well, that Portland club is solid as well.
You bet.
Won the WCC tournament last season, didn't get to go to the NCAA tournament, but that's a solid crew. They return all but one senior, so Washington's going to have their hands full on Sunday as well.
So a quick timeout with 46.4 left to go in the fourth quarter. There's Washington's schedule again. Portland, Oregon State, tough.
Yeah, and Oregon State, they will do battle, and that one is going to be fun. The Battle of the Willamette Valley, and boy, has that just been rocking the last few years. Sellouts at Gill, sellouts at Matthew Knight. Obviously, that will not be the case, which the losers there are all those fans that are so passionate about those teams. They will be safe and healthy in their homes, and we hope the players on Sunday, when Oregon and Oregon State do battle here on the Pac-12 Network, always look forward to that one. At the rivalry series here in this one, all Cougs today.
Charlize Ledger-Walker was just on fire in that first half and helped, she and Motuga really helping Washington State building what proved to be an insurmountable lead.
And Washington has some really high-level athletes, and they just didn't have enough to really bother Washington State.
Nice body control by Van Dyke as she fills the lane nicely. She's had a really solid game with the 17 points to go along with 11 rebounds. And Van Dyke scoring again. So season highs for Van Dyke, and 60-52, yes, 7.6 left. I like the way Washington stayed engaged.
Well, for Washington State, they came out and at halftime had such a commanding lead, and Washington had 20 on the board in the third quarter. They outscored Wazoo 20-15, and then here in the fourth quarter, Washington State has just taken the air out of the ball. And so you look time and score, and Washington State is still up by 8 and 7.6 seconds left. So you're looking all the time at the clock. What do we need to do here? How many possessions are left? And certainly Cami Etheridge and her staff have calculated well. Now, she never wants to see her team turn the ball over and miss shots, and certainly there's lots to clean up from Washington State's standpoint. But ultimately, you're here on the court to get a win. No matter how you do it, it's to have at least one more point than your opponent, and she has done that today, and she's going to be thrilled when this one's done. Although knowing Cami and how she responds, she's so competitive. The former All-American and Player of the Year at the University of Texas. She's going to probably focus on all the things that they can clean up. We can shoot the ball better. We can not turn it over as much, and she's going to push to have this team reach the highest level that she possibly can. But I think she's going to also take a moment and revel in the fact this is their third straight win in Seattle, and she's 4-1 in her Cougar career as head coach against the Huskies.
And again, bear in mind, this is the season opener for Washington State. Adversity all over the place. They had to postpone or cancel the non-con games. Then they couldn't make the trip to the Bay Area or to Las Vegas to play Stanford. COVID issues and challenges. And they opened things up against their arch rival, and Washington State is going to go home with a huge win and a great way to start this season.
Well, and I think for a lot of the Coug fans watching in this one today, and certainly for the coaching staff as well, for everybody, how good is this team going to be without two of the best that have ever worn the crimson and gray? And yet they've come out without Borislava Hristova and without Chanel Molina, and it's a completely different looking team, but they look good today.
And that'll do it. 60-52 the final, but it was a dominant Washington State victory.
Yeah, it really was. They did exactly what Cammie Etheridge wanted to do in the scouting report, and they didn't allow Washington to go on the big runs off turnovers, and that was one of the keys, is Washington can be really good and start really playing as well as anybody when they're turning you over and getting lay-ins in the open court, and Washington State just took care of the basketball today, just enough to get the W.
All right, so put round one of the Apple Cup in the books. Washington State comes into town, beating arch rival Washington 60-52. Cougs once again posting a huge road win, beating Washington in Seattle for the third straight time. That doesn't happen often. For Elise, I'm Ann saying so long from Seattle.